Hey, what's going on, everybody? What's going on? What's going on? Welcome to another episode of Politics and Wellness. I'm your host, Captivating Christian. And of course, you guys, as always, are my co-host for this evening's show. So let's get started. Now, as the church programs go, things are subject to change. So if I don't go directly in order, forgive me. But I don't know. I'm just kind of going where it leads me at this moment. But anyway, I hope everybody is having a great evening, considering, of course, us still being some of us on lockdown restrictions and some of us just on permanent lockdown during this pandemic. Hey, Patty Duke, how you doing? Welcome, welcome, welcome. Always great to see you. Hey, what's up, Conscious? What's going on? No forgiveness for what, Conscious? I'm even afraid to even ask that question. But let's just get into some things. In all seriousness, I really, I don't even know how to put this. Pay you no mind. Okay. I really don't know how many more times I have to come before you with another Black teenager losing his or her life. And at this rate, to a senseless act of violence, in which someone's music was too loud. And yet again, we are revisited with your music is too loud, you deserve to be executed. The young man's name is Ellison. He was 19 years old in Oregon, not too far from Eugene, I believe. He was some sort of I'll pull it back up in a second. I just want to get this out. I don't know if he was staying there or if he was visiting a friend who happened to be residing there, but he was in the parking lot playing music. And a patron came out of his hotel room, got into a confrontation with the young man because he claims that his music was too loud. Of course, they detained this white individual who killed this young man, one shot, straight to the chest. The white person the white older gentleman who did it was not shot instantly. He was not killed to disarm him, nothing. He was actually taken to the police, where he basically said the music was too loud and it disturbed him. And he didn't mean to use the gun on the young man. He meant to use the gun on himself. Now, I don't know. I'm really trying to find the words. This happened like last week, and I skimmed it, but it really just sat with me today. And then I got an email about it again. So it was like, okay, you need to address this. I'm trying to find words to make this make sense to even me. Just before I got on here, and I was talking to a friend, but before that, I was going back and forth in my comment section with, a troll to some degree, but someone who I posed a question or a comment to a question, and he wanted to go back and forth with me with nothing based in actual fact, just based in feeling. Um, and I stress that to him. Like, I get what you're saying. I get it, but it's not factual. It's based in feeling. And we did touch a little bit on race and really tried to make me feel like, oh no, it's all fake news that I feel this way about what is happening to my people. And it's like, no, I don't feel this way because it's a feeling. I feel this way because I see it. And this, this incident right here is far more evident than anywhere. I know there are people of color in Oregon. My nieces went to Oregon State and ran track, very successful. So I know, I know there are. But the fact that this is happening everywhere, in small towns where there may be, just a handful or a sprinkle here or a sprinkle there of your own people, is problematic. We get all caught up in, oh, this stuff only happens in inner cities. This kind of stuff only happens in inner cities. And we lose the sense that this is happening everywhere. And with this president in his 4 years of being allowed to spew this out, rally up his people, for him to then lose an election and then have these people in such anger and frustration over a simple process that just 4 years ago they were fine with because who they wanted to win won. But now there's a sense of, okay, now we have to guard ourselves. Now we have to arm ourselves. And it's almost like everything's happening kind of in reverse. As we should be moving forward, everything is happening in reverse. And I don't understand how this could just be accepted. Like, oh, that's okay. The young man in Florida who was murdered the same way, whose mother happened to run for Congress and win, and is sitting in Congress right now, not only for herself, but for what happened to her own son. Now that somebody has to go through that yet again is ridiculous. And all for what? Like, you couldn't be an adult and say to the young man, hey, your music is too loud. Can you lower your music? But you felt it enough to take it upon yourself to end that young man's life. Like, I don't get it. I really don't. And maybe somebody can explain it to where in which it would make sense to me. And welcome to everybody who popped into the chat. Sorry if I missed you. Queen Diva, Smart Show. Hey, how you doing? What's up, Brother Nate? Hey, what's up, T? Trisha One, how are you? I just really, I'm at a loss. I really am at a loss for words. And I know, a lot of people don't like this type of talk. This ain't really what, quote unquote, the beef sector, which it's really not a sector, but whatever. What people who like to entertain with the going back and forth and the, dissing each other and all that. But we're really under attack here. And it gets to a point where you start to, where do my priorities lie? What's more important to me? Should I be more concerned with making sure when I walk out my door that, one, I'm protected, not only spiritually, but physically, upon anybody who may choose to want to harm me for some weird reason. This story just stuck out to me for many reasons. Even the police chief was like, well, it's too early to say that this is race related. And I get where it's coming from. It's coming from, oh no, you don't want Black Lives Matter. You don't want Al Sharpton. You don't want, all these people to fly down and hawk down on your little, your little town that, you may have had your little race issues, but they were secreted and covered up. And only the people in that town or in that surrounding area know anything about it. So you can kind of fly under the radar. But these kind of situations shine a light on these, dryer. It'll stop. Shine a light on these particular situations. And maybe that's what's needed. Like, no, we don't need our people being killed for stupid reasons as, oh, his music was too loud, it was giving me a headache. Instead of just asking the young man, hey, can you turn your music down? If he says no, go on about your business. Like, I really just don't. The privilege is just far beyond you just being able to get credit and do all this kind of material stuff. Your privilege is embedded in you, in your whole psyche, to where you feel like you have dominion over anything and anyone that you feel is beneath you. That's a problem. That's a huge problem. And again, I'm really trying to, hey, what's up, the portal? I'm really trying to understand, like, the point to where when they do this, we're supposed to meet them with open arms, graciousness, prayers, forgiveness, understanding, and all this other mumbo jumbo. But, we can't be angry about it. We can't protest about it. We can't even, do anything that they would consider to be, going too far, without bringing the tanks, bringing the rubber bullets that are practically destroying people's faces. So I'm like, when does this stop? Like when does this stop? It's almost like we really have to do something drastic for you to even pay attention, because obviously nobody's listening. You listen for a moment, you stop, you do your, oh, that's really messed up, and then you keep moving. But you keep moving, doing the same thing. Like, that's just it. And at this point, I'm at a loss, man. I'm like trying to figure out, like, what the hell? Like, what are we doing? Like, we should be doing more. Granted, yes, we need to be doing more, obviously. But what more in this peaceful kumbaya, let's hold hands together and march and hold our fists up, can we do? How more of our children, how more of our young people, how more of our people in general of any age continuously have to die because someone else feels uncomfortable with their whole existence? And we can blame it on the music. It's not the music. You don't even like that person's existence. So anything would give you pause and cause to go and say, you know what, I'm going to confront that person because I don't believe that they should be playing that. I don't believe that they should be doing this and doing that. I mean, like, to me, it's enough. Like, enough's enough. I can't anymore. I don't even like doing the stories anymore, but I have to, because I know there's someone out there that doesn't even know it. And for that one person is the only reason why I even do it. But it's heartbreaking to see, like, you go through all these things, you go to these marches, you go to these town halls, everything seems so positive that, okay, we could be moving in a direction where, all right, we might start to get some ground back a little bit. And you get dumbass moments like this with officers who are in charge of all of this, even looking back and saying, well, no, I don't really want to call it a race thing. No, just call it what it is. Call it what it is. This older man was not trying to really rationalize, well, hey, it's just music. It'll last a little bit and I can go on about my life or whatever I was doing in a hotel room. No, you had to come out there with your gun. Okay, so you already went out there with purpose. You didn't go out there to tell him to turn his music down, because if you did just that, you would have done that. If he wouldn't have complied, then you would have called the front desk, you would have called the police or anything of that nature. So you getting so frustrated that you felt the need to take it upon yourself to arm yourself, you already knew what you was going to go out there to do. And something in you said that you were validated to do it and that you would be protected in doing so. Now, I don't know how many cases we've heard about on the other end where there has been a person of color that has not been armed at all. Not in the least. And that person's life gone. They ain't asked no questions. They felt threatened as officers and they opened fire. And then we got to, go through, the body cam footage was released and it looks like she may have reached for, did this. And we got to rationalize why they did it because we're looking at a body cam. When this man clearly turned down your music, I guess the young man Aiden did not comply. So he pumped one round into his chest and walked away. They called the police. He was apprehended. There was no big hoopla, no bring in the tanks, bring in the SWAT cars. Oh, let's kill him. He's armed. I'm threatened for my life as an officer, because they don't see themselves as a threat when they see themselves, even though they could be the ones actually being the threat. They never see themselves as the threat. Hey, what's up, Jay the One too? I'm so sick of it. Like it is I can't. Like I can't even stomach anymore. Yeah, I get it, Nate. War has no rules, but we'll sit here and say, yeah, this is a war going on. And they'll quickly, no, it's not a war. Oh, no, this is not a race war. It's just a difference of political ideologies. No. And the fact that you think our young people are praying targets, or our young people in your suburban areas because they haven't grown up in an inner city are your praying targets for those of you who are out in places in Portland, Oregon, and other places, is a problem. It really is a problem. And so it begs to differ. My whole thing I was bringing to encompass all of that is like, is racism a national health crisis? I mean, that's the question posed. And it was posed actually, not even from this article, not even from this situation, but from Breonna Taylor, because the mayor of Louisville, Kentucky, basically wants to put forth an executive order, of course, because he got a lot of heat from the protesters and the active protesters that are still protesting the injustice of Breonna Taylor right now. To where now he wants to create a sense of, well, let's do something about it. And again, you're absolutely right. It's not only a national crisis, it's a global crisis, right? It is. You have places in Africa, no less, where the Chinese are discriminating against the Africans after, I guess they felt, well, we invested some money into your nation. Now we're going to treat you however we want to treat you. And this is just my theory, and I could be wrong, but I feel like that is all done because there is a disconnect. And I know I said this before, but there is a disconnect between the two. Like there's a disconnect between blacks in America and black Africans or people of other races that happen to be black. There's like some sort of disconnect. And I say that only because I live in New York. Well, I lived in New York all my life, for the most part, up until college and now. And Chinatown was like a place that you was like, oh, you just did it in Chinatown. But when you got older and started to see that everything in Chinatown is in their language or somewhat their native language or what have you, their banks, their shops, everything. So there's nothing in Chinatown, in whatever city you live in, even DC, there's no place in Chinatown where they are not aware of where they're at and their original culture from where they come from. So that connection is always there. There was a situation in New York where a police officer shot into a housing project in a dark stairwell, okay, because he was afraid for his life. But I think you're an officer, you're trained to do that. If you're going to go into a dark stairwell, you would know what to do, cut on a flashlight, something. But he shot a young man in a dark stairwell, killed him. And of course, they were going to bring him up on charges and indict him. The attorney general at the time was all for it, right? And he was going to be the sacrificial lamb for police brutality, police misconduct, mainly because he was an officer of color. Of course, he didn't see that. He just saw it as, they're coming for me. But no, of course, because the people, the actual officers in the hierarchy positions are mostly Italian, white men. So, of course, they're never going to sacrifice their own for any police brutality that they do. But, however, the officers of color are definitely expendable. So they can, you will be on the chopping block if in fact you mess up, just point blank, period. So this young man shot into the stairwell, killed a black young man. City of New York was in an uproar. Even the mayor was like, hey, de Blasio, this is not tolerated. We will, go to the highest extent of the law. The AG is on it, and we're going for the gusto. Yeah, he happened to be of some sort of Asian descent. Needless to say, the Chinese government got in contact with whomever they did in New York City, and by the time charges were supposed to be announced and fully hitting this man, yeah, they did it as a slap on the wrist. He lost his job, but no jail time. No jail time, no charges whatsoever. And I personally believe that the Chinese government has something to do with it. They either decided, hey, listen, if you do this, we're going to stop funding whatever, or stop tourism to your city. And hey, you're going to hurt. So you make the choice. And they decided to, all right, well, we won't charge him, but we can't let him stay here on the force. Okay, so be it. And, I'm sure he's working somewhere else, probably for the Chinese government, and we're in connection with them, but perfectly fine. My whole point in that is that we need to understand that we need to do better in building a connection amongst ourselves. Yes, we were hoodwinked not only by colonial white men, but hoodwinked by our own people. And both sides need to understand that. I've seen some things where some people have said, oh, that we as Americans, as Black Americans, are lazy and all this. And I've heard this women who have to be of African descent say it. And I was just like, okay, but I hear you, but how did we get here in the first place? Like, it's cute to always blame, like, well, right now, this is the situation, but how did it start? And that's the problem. A lot of times, you can't fix a sickness or anything without actually getting to the root of what it is. Like, even in this coronavirus pandemic, you can't really get to how to defeat the virus without finding the root components to the virus to begin with. So that's my point. Like, we've lost that whole root component. So now when all these things are, popping off, you have trans lives, trans people being killed. You have Black unarmed people, men and women, just being killed just senselessly. Just, oh, yeah, we felt threatened, or, oh, this person was, looked like he had an object, or looked like he had a gun, or people are running away, and, they're quick to say, oh, no, I was chasing them, but he grabbed my gun or grabbed my taser, and it's like open season. Like, why is there no outcry from, of course, us here, but internationally as well? Like, I really don't, I know the UN was talking about holding the US accountable and putting them up on charges for the brutality that a lot of Black people have faced, at the hands of the police. But it started and it went away, and I hear nothing else about it. So I'm just like, well, what's going on? Hey, TC. So I'm just like, what's going on? But I just, I'm at a point of high frustration, and it's like change. Like, what? It's almost like the only way I think I'm gonna get your attention is through radical change, not through change that is progressive, but change that is just so radical that you're just gonna have to be like, oh my gosh, like, they mean business, they are serious. But to that effect, what would that cause? Like, will that even be effective? I mean, for a temporary, yeah, it could be very effective because it'll get your attention right away. But with this president, this administration, is it really effective? Because then we'll just be echoing exactly what they feel about us anyway. Oh, their problem. Oh, they need to be squashed out. Let's send the whole military and eradicate the problem. So I don't know. Really don't. I don't know. Really don't know. But leave your questions, and I'll write along to the next one, and then we can definitely go back and rehatch those. Excuse me, my thing is blocking out. But yeah, like I said, so the mayor of Louisville has set forth in executive order, right? And in this order, he's finding ways to help improve the lives of the 155,000 Black residents, right? So, of course, he says that there's a trinormous gap in the existence in privilege and opportunity. And he's signing an executive order to target 7 areas of racial injustice. Public safety being one, children and families being another, employment being another as well, Black wealth, housing, and voting, right? Now, in these little kind of criterias and steps, he has developing behavioral health response teams, which are non-enforcement alternatives or police support. Now, back in the days, they did have those kind of situations. Like, they had supportive police, especially like in the city. They had other agencies that would go out and kind of diffuse situations. I don't know if you've heard of like the Guardian Angels and all those kind of organizations. There were organizations out there that some of them happened to be off-duty police officers, um, and they would kind of diffuse neighborhood situations and all that kind of stuff. Now, most of the stuff, I'll read it off. You let me know if you think it's going to be effective. That one, I thought, yeah, that could definitely be effective, but we would have to make sure that people are trained properly. Two, that they live or are from the area, because that's a huge problem in and of itself, right? So then they have establishing a plan that would ensure that every home has broadband and Wi-Fi access. I'll wait on that one. The next one was closing the Black pay gap and increasing Black employees in professional, managerial, and technical positions. Now, that comes with education. So are you going to improve the educational position of Black families, starting with the public school system? And not just saying that, oh, well, we'll just create charter schools because, they're better. Who says so? And then you got to deal with a lottery system. So not every child will be able to get put into these quote unquote charter schools and or private schools. Again, I just think, right, more and more lip service. So I don't know. So then he says, advocating for a boost of the minimum wage and living wage, investing in home ownership and infrastructure improvements in disadvantaged neighborhoods such as, he said, the West End, but I'm just thinking areas anywhere. Because I'm sure many other cities are starting to look at this like, oh, that sounds like a good idea. But it's always that. It's always that. It's always, oh, let's build the infrastructure. Let's create affordable housing. And then what happens? They build these townhomes or these high-rise buildings, and oh, we only have about 5 units or 10 units that can actually take people who are actually living in the neighborhood. Everything, all the other units will actually go to outside people who feel like, oh, I want to be hip. Let me go live. Let me go live in the hood, And then what happens? Of course, gentrification comes in, and then there's Starbucks and there's Whole Foods and there's all these places that weren't never there before because they didn't find interest in it until a couple of sprinkles come in, and then it's like, oh, we can change it up. Now we change it up. We're going to put a stadium here. We're going to do all this. Again, still driving the people who actually live there and need the support out. So, I mean, granted, I hear you, but if you're not building it and keeping the people there where they are and fixing the infrastructure within and still allowing the people to stay there and build their economic wealth and all that, then what is the point? It's almost like you're just putting a Band-Aid on a bleeding situation in hopes that the Band-Aid could soak up some of the blood so it's not profusely pouring out. And at this point, it's like, enough already. We need action. We don't need, well, let's talk this over, because all that happens is the greedy corporations come in and find a way where they can buy this land here, they can buy some land here, they can do this, they can do that. And the whole time we've been promised that, hey, this is going to be good because it's going to bring jobs to the area, and you look around and no jobs. Because then the jobs that they have, that they ask that they're looking for, oh, they're looking for managerial positions. And everybody in the area who was looking forward to the job actually coming with this warehouse or whatever it is coming, you think, oh, okay, cool, I'll get a job. Oh, no, we're actually looking for a managerial somewhat position. So, of course, nobody there has that. qualification. So then what happens? The people who actually live there cannot get those jobs. Right. And now you have corporations buying homes, rows of homes. You have Johns Hopkins in Baltimore buying up everything. And I mean everything, everything. Johns Hopkins University Hospital buying up everything. You buy a house in downtown Baltimore, give it a year or two, and they'll be asking you to sell it. So they can build apartment complexes and townhomes for their nurses, their doctors, and their residents. I mean, it's happening. Like this is really happening. This is happening in front of our faces. This is happening in real time. And yeah, we can look and say, oh, well, the neighborhood is looking better. That's a plus. But at what cost? What cost are we doing this? Because these people then have to go somewhere. If you displace them from their inner city dwellings, then where are you pushing them out to? The suburbs. And then when you push them out to the suburbs, what's happening? You have the people in the suburbs who, Donald Trump says, oh, no, don't let them, we won't let them, allow them to come to your suburbs. And we're like, who are you talking about? Oh, no, they know who you're talking about. They know exactly who you're talking about. So when you come to their suburbs, be prepared for the problem. Because you'll get situations where they feel your music is too loud. And now they feel like they have the authority to then end your life because they don't like your music. What? Wow, really? Do they? I'm not surprised. John Hopkins owns everything down there. It's crazy. And it's almost like, it's almost like a monopoly and nobody's stopping it because John Hopkins is not only padding the pockets of a lot of the politicians, Democrat and Republican, but people are just, going along to get along because they think it's a great thing for the neighborhood. It's cleaning up the area. You want to clean up the area? Get some of these people some training so they can have a job and earn a living wage and get off the street from selling or whatever it is that they're doing. Do that. Show these people that there's more to life. But all you know to do is displace them, build something so, ooh, it looks nice. Then you attract outsiders who always wanted to live in the inner city, but were just afraid because of all the inner city violence, which has been perpetrated by media to make it seem like, oh, don't move out, don't move there because it's so bad, it's horrible, you could lose your life. Well, now let's dress it up like Disney World. And then now, look, you can move here. Because that's just what we're doing. That's just what it is. You're making some of the places where people would never step foot in look like Disney World. And now all of a sudden everybody come because Mickey Mouse is here and it's on and popping. What, why? But I don't know. I can't call it. It's definitely a huge problem that I don't know how much longer we will be able to just grin and bear it until people start really destroying things. People say, oh, no, that's not the answer. That's not the answer. Then what is the answer? What is the answer? Because, yeah, we have politicians with good faith promises, but it's a different story when you actually get in the seat. You can talk all that stuff on the campaign trail and the hopes and dreams and the wishes and make people feel good about, your platform and your promises. That's great. But when you have to deal with the people the legislators that are already sitting there, that are already opposed to what you're even trying to bring because it would upset their bottom line, their pockets, their constituents, they will stop you at every turn possible if they have to. Look at Mitch McConnell. He's doing it right now, even in jeopardy of losing the power of the Senate. He is still determined, one, to not even look at a second stimulus, two, then already said that if he does happen to keep the majority of the Senate, that he will for sure not pass a lot of the things that Joe Biden is looking to push through. Not only that, but they're already talking about they're already talking about blocking some of his nominations already. So that's like not even giving him a chance to see what he can do. It's already confirming, you know what, we're not even going to let this happen. And that's also a problem. That's why I say, Georgia, time is winding down. So please make sure that you are registered to vote in this runoff, because it is so important. What I want to say real quick about that. Moving past that, though, the vaccine. The vaccine is fastly approaching. So my question to the chat is, are you taking it or are you not? Now, I've heard that one of the Democrats was pushing for some sort of incentive for people to take the vaccine, that if you take the vaccine, you would get $1,300 in stimulus. Now I'm just thinking, that's really ridiculous. Like, you would bribe people. And that's why I say, like, people are like, oh no, you can't support the Democratic vote. You can't blindly support. Who's blindly supporting? I mean, you call it out, you call it out. I just think that that's ridiculous. For him to even, and I don't remember exactly who it was, so when I do, trust and believe, I will post it in my community wall, but I know I heard it. It's clear as day. His initiative, and I believe it was the legislator from Maryland, he wanted to suggest that there should be some sort of incentive for people to take the vaccine. By, if you took the vaccine, you'll get a $1,300 stimulus check. Now, with all the people sitting up here jobless and or working part-time or less than part-time, can barely make ends meet due to this pandemic, you would bribe them yet again in their financial struggles to forcibly take a vaccine that is being rushed through by the government, and just being rushed through so Trump can say, oh, look what I did. Like the person I was telling you guys earlier, we're going back and forth about that, talking about, well, Trump took initiative to create a vaccine. Trump didn't do anything. Nothing. He had nothing to do with this vaccine, nothing to do with picking the people to actually spearhead it, nothing at all. The same thing about his business that was given to him by his father, nothing at all. What has Trump done? Zero. How has he benefited? Greatly. So my thing is, yes, it is important to get a vaccine and get it out. But it is far more important to make sure that it is safe for people to take, that people have the option not to take it if they choose, and they don't have to be jailed if they choose not to take it. For religious reasons, for whatever reason that you choose not to take it, you should be protected to do so. And nor should anyone be bribed to take it because they are in financial distress. I think that's ridiculous. And for that Maryland congressman to say that, absolutely egregious. But again, when you are disconnected from what's actually going on in the ground with people, and you don't live that life, but you represent it, but you don't live where they live, yeah, you can say things like that because you think that is what people are looking for more. I think people are looking to actually have their own jobs back so they can actually go back to earning their own wages and not being given something that's theirs anyway, but the government acting like they don't want to give it. Almost like, trying to hand you a check but holding it at the same time. And you're like, well, it's mine, but I don't want to, and it's like pulling teeth. I'd rather not because you go through so much red tape for what? Then by the time you pay your bills, you don't have no money left anyway. So I just think it's just over the top, way too much. And I'm just done. But yeah, I don't know about that. I really don't. I'll wait for the immunity. Yeah, that's a whole nother thing. Like, I don't know who told him that about this immunity mess. I just really can't. I don't know where these people come up with their scientific conclusions about how to deal with this, what it is. The scientists really don't even know what it is and how to combat it. They are really racing for a vaccine and hoping that it works. And the minute that the trials go through a second phase, they are like, oh, we're almost there. And then something secretly winds up happening and they have to dial it back. We don't know what the cause is or what the side effects are that may be causing a lot of these drug companies to, once they say that they're so close, to then have to dial it back and say, oh, no, we're not so close. So I wonder. I just know one thing. People start turning like The Walking Dead. I'm done. I'm out of here. But besides that, lastly, all right, so Bill Barr, a.k.a. Fred Flintstone, because he does look like Fred Flintstone, said that there is no evidence of voter fraud. Now, I know initially people were like, oh, that's great. Maybe Trump will stop. And I thought about it for a second. And I'm like, as conniving and as low down as Bill Barr has been this entire time, I don't believe him. I believe he said it. Yes, of course. But do I believe secretly he is behind the scenes cooking up something? Yes. I know that he did say, like I said, he said there was no evidence, or there has been no evidence of voter fraud, and that, everything went, as good as possible. Like, there was no kind of hiccups on the level of mass voter fraud, right? And then I thought about it. And I said, well, if he keeps talking about voter fraud, the only possible way to kind of rectify the situation is then take all the votes from everywhere, not just inner cities where you lost, but everywhere, and start examining the votes. And then you may really discover that maybe they was messing around with votes too. Maybe they were actually interfering with some votes. Maybe there was some voter fraud going on the other side as well. So I think, I don't know. I'm just finding it like Bill Barr is a tricky character. Like he'll say one thing and right behind your back doing something else. I mean, this is the same person who said he wasn't going to interfere with the investigation as far as the Russian interference, which there was documented Russian interference in 2016, and went right behind after he got confirmed and meddled into what was being investigated, what the special prosecutor was able to look at as far as the 2016 election cycle was concerned, and all of that. So he is capable of talking and saying one thing, but actually doing something else. So I don't put it past them. Do I think we need to move on and move forward? Yes. However, there is less than 50 days left of this administration and this president who is behind doors, murdering people on death row, just for the simple fact that he knows that Joe Biden will not. You have people like Kodak Black reaching out to Donald Trump for a pardon, telling him that he would give him $1 million if he pardoned him. And I think this is just, it's just ridiculous. It really is. It really is ridiculous. I mean, it's funny on one hand because I think of it like, well, the election is over. He lost, so he has no need for helping any of you rappers out because your endorsements did nothing for his reelection. Hey, what's up, Aiden? How are you? So, so it's like, well, what benefit would he do helping you if you can't give him votes? So I just laughed at that for a bit, just like, that's funny. I'm a little late, brother. Maybe you should have asked early when Wayne was at the White House. Maybe you should have asked then. You should have had your people hit up the president and say, hey, can I get a pardon? Now it's a little too late. He has no reason to use you. So good luck with that pardon. But if he does give you one, then, kudos to you. But I don't see it happening, brother. But, you never know. Oh, no problem. Thanks for coming. But yeah, I don't know. So if anybody has any other questions, comments, or concerns, this is the part where we all can share. I know I missed a lot of your comments and stuff, so please forgive me. I'll probably have to go back later and watch it. But if you have something that you really wanted to say, you can always just repost it and I'll see it and address it. Or you can hop on the StreamYard. You don't have to show your face, but please don't show nothing crazy. It's not that type of party. It's not that type of situation. But yeah, that's really what I wanted to discuss this evening. That young man being murdered like that, unexplainable, unexcusable, and there should be nothing else to call it but a hate crime. And these people need to be held accountable for their hatred. And that's just it. That's just it. We cannot, this is not the 40s, not the 50s, not the 20s and 30s. Like this whole, you get to do it and we kind of sweep it under the rug. Not anymore. As Ayanna Van Zandt would say, not on my watch. And it's just like, at this point, not on anybody's watch. We can't allow this anymore. What'd you say? What about the kids maybe getting the pardon? What did they do to run from? Who died? Are you talking about the... No, not the Jacksonville situation. I was talking about in a city near Eugene, Oregon. There was a 19-year-old black male who was killed just last week, who was in a parking lot of a resident. Gosh, I know I pulled up the title. 1 second. I did anyway. Probably in my email. Nope, not that one. Yeah, we read. Nope. Here we go. There it goes. Give me 1 second. Ashland, Oregon. Yeah, Ashland, Oregon. The young man was at a Stadford Inn. He was actually in the parking lot in his vehicle playing music. I'm sure he was probably waiting on someone or whatever the case may be. Whatever it is, he was really just sitting there minding his own business. A patron from inside the resident, the inn, came outside and says that he asked him to turn down his music, but I doubt it. He probably, told him to cut that crap off and called him all kinds of racial slurs to the point where the young man probably said some things back. And this man just pulled out his gun and shot him straight in the chest. So I just don't, it's like they don't care. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, it's hard to sit here and talk to someone about caring when they really don't care and they don't give a damn. So it's like, you're wasting your breath. And then they always look at us to be like, oh, well, just forgive them and give them a hug and, hope that Jesus will save their souls. But you keep moving and you be the bigger person and turn the other cheek and all this other garbage. It's like, we're running out of cheeks, goddammit. I'm skinny. I don't have that many cheeks to be turning. I'm sorry. I'm not doing it. And I just feel like what more do we need to do? Like, this is crazy. And it's going after our young people. And we don't want to have to sit here and have this whole discussion of, it's bad enough you're giving them a rundown of what to do when the police pull you over. Now it's, make sure your music's not too loud because somebody may feel threatened by your music and want to kill you because your music is too loud. Come the hell on. Like, I can't even get the words like to even make it make sense. I just I don't know. But then I know this without even a hesitation that if the roles were reversed and somebody black did that or a person of color did that, there would be this huge outpour of justice. Okay? There'd be this huge call for justice, and they'll be talking about, see, gun violence, and this is why we need gun regulations, and nobody from the NRA would be talking about impeding on their Second Amendment rights. Nobody would. Not a peep. You wouldn't hear a word from those folks at all. Just like the NRA was down with the Black Panthers having a gun or two until they became so large that then whole government started getting worried and scared. Then all of a sudden it was, we need regulations. No, you don't need regulations. You just need to make sure that, Black people can't register to go get guns. They got to go through all this red tape and all this background checks and everything else. But, then now when we talk about having background checks and all this other kind of stuff, because now you can go to a state fair and purchase a firearm. But, let's put two and two together. I've been to state fairs because where I live is kind of in the country. I don't see that many people that look like me at a state fair. Okay. Last state fair I went to was a lot of Trump signs, Trump flags at this particular state fair. So I didn't see. And there was a little booth where you could actually purchase a gun. Do I own it? No, I don't own a gun yet, but I have shot one plenty of times. And I have plenty of friends that have them. And they are licensed to have them. But I am getting one trust and believe it. But it's crazy that we even have to have that discussion. Like, we have to be like, oh, I have to strap up to just be me. Because at any moment, some vigilante dumb behind is going to feel like my presence, my very being, is impeding on his or her right. I can't rock with that. Like, I really cannot even wrap my head around how that makes sense. And our kids are dying senselessly. Not, I mean, granted, yeah, we can talk about, oh, well, it's happening in inner cities and, we're killing ourselves. And yes, that is true. It is happening there too. And yes, we can deal with that and still deal with why they are people. But no, I don't need to take no self-defense class like Sir King did. Absolutely not. Who needs to do that? But that there are people who feel like it's their right, it's their God-given right to suppress you from living your life. I mean, granted, I hear music too that I don't necessarily like, but I don't feel it's my right to, other than to ask someone, hey, do you mind turning that down? If it is that loud and impeding on what I'm trying to do. But if it's really not impeding on what I'm trying to do, what happened to just minding your business? But what happened to that? And then this whole excuse of that he gave, oh, well, he was going to use the gun on himself. The gun wasn't meant for the young man. It was meant for himself. So you took the time out of your suicidal schedule to not kill yourself, but to go out and kill this young man because his music was too loud. And then the first thing we're going to say, well, the first thing, when I say we, I mean them. Oh, well, see, he has mental issues. Not that he's a thug, not that he's some kind of, white vigilante thug. No, not going to say that. You're going to say, oh, he has a mental issue. Oh, he's always had some kind of mental problems, yet this man owns a gun. Make it make sense. Because I'm trying to figure out, there are plenty of places when you fill out things, and I don't know if there's different kind of applications, but it asks you if you have any kind of mental jump-offs that you may not be cleared to get a firearm. So how can these individuals who happen to have mental issues still be able to purchase firearms? So I don't know. I really don't know. All I know is I'm tired. I really am. Tired and fed up. And there's no more I can say. No more I can say. Okay. Oh, wow. Yep, but that's all I have for you guys right now. You said I don't play loud music. I also have a camera in my car. Yeah, I have a camera in my car too. And that's one thing I do suggest, that if you do not have a camera in your car, to get one. They're pretty inexpensive. You can get one at, places that do like not secondhand stuff, but like stuff that, there's a store here called Ollie's. It's like a store that would have stuff that maybe isn't selling anymore, and they buy the rest of it and they sell it in their store. And that's where I happened to get my camera for my car. It was like $20. And you can do the front and the back of your car. So if you do happen to get stopped by the police, you can record the back and the front. And yeah, I keep it, and all I had to do was buy a memory card, and the memory card is large enough to actually record 4 couple days without me clearing it out and doing it all over again. But yeah, we need to definitely step it up, and because they're not playing with us, and we should not be playing with them. So definitely, we are going to have a late night pillow talk chat later. Say what? Who are you referring to when you say we? I'm not following. Um, but yeah, I just think that we definitely need to be safe out here. In no means am I saying be scared, because definitely you don't walk in fear. You don't walk in uneasiness. You are kings and queens, so you definitely walk in your power at all times. But just be mindful, be very aware that there are people out here, demonic and otherwise, that mean you no good, and to arm yourselves in whatever that is. If that's spiritual and all of that, then yes, definitely do that. Are you going live again? No, not today. This is usually it. Yeah, you definitely have to be in the particular mindset. But yeah, that is my prayer, that we really stand in our power and walk in our power, that we don't fear, but definitely are very much aware of what's going on, what they're doing, and we can combat it. Now, of course, you can always combat this type of stuff with violence, and sometimes it's necessary. But it's almost like, hey, we always have to be playing checkers, and we also, instead of playing checkers, we always have to be playing chess. And in chess, it's more strategic mentally than just you jump here, you move, I move, you move, I move. And we have to start thinking long term, at the same time preparing ourselves for whatever may come. So yeah, I know sometimes I've even done the shooting range just as something to do, something different. Instead of going to the movies and doing that whole thing, just went to the shooting range and just started shooting. I was good at first because I wasn't thinking about the power of what I had in my hand and all that kind of stuff. And then when it hit me, like, oh, I really have a gun in my hand. Yeah, that second round of shots weren't all that great. I mean, I'm better now, but yeah. So my suggestion is just this: instead of just doing the regular stuff, in and if you can, to check out your local gun ranges and start getting yourself familiar with the different type of weapons, how to hold them, working on your aim, and all of those things. Because I think it's important. We don't ever want to be caught off guard. We don't want them to ever think that we are easy targets for them, because that is never the case. But I just really hope that we really see the power in ourselves. And that is really just from my people in general, that we do each other no good going back and forth with each other, causing violence to ourselves when the enemy is larger. And I really think we really need to do something, man. I don't know. I really don't know. But it's just really sad. And I'm sorry for just rambling, but I just feel like, oh, it's just like it never ends, you know? Um, and the fact that we have to go through all of these legal channels to hear the same old, he's been charged by a grand jury. And then you get to, well, we have to lessen the charges because this young man possibly could have hit him, which would lessen the charge from murder to assault with a deadly weapon to I'm just tired of it. We're trying to excuse violence towards Black people, but if it's done the other way around, it's throw the book at them. We're not even thinking about the rest of their life. We're not even thinking about, oh, well, he's young and he made a mistake, just like the young teenager, the other white man who was, other white thug who just was posted bail of $2 million cash. And you have lawmakers walking around here talking about he should be able to run for Congress later on in life. The fuck are we talking about? Oh, I get it, because he's white. And you figure, well, he's young and white, you do mistakes when you're a kid and you're able to, get older and do different things. We don't want to ruin the rest of his life. Really? But we don't say that to none of the young Black men that are sitting behind bars right now for some petty crimes. Some have murdered some people. But there is no thought of, well, let's not ruin that young Black man's life. Let's give him an opportunity to maybe he'll turn around later on and make something of himself. No, you throw the book at these people, but you don't throw the book at your own people. So I'm just, and when people say, stuff don't exist or we're making it up or it's fake news, it's like, yo, it's right here in front of our faces. The fuck are you talking about? I know you don't see it because it's not your reality. It's not something you wake up to, so you wouldn't see it. It wouldn't make sense to you, but it makes sense to me because we all see it. And like I said, the fun and games, the joking and all that stuff, that's it's cute. It's funny for a moment. It's funny to pass time. But it's like, when do you wake up? When do you wake up and realize, hey, one day it could be you. Hey, one day it could be your niece. Hey, one day it could be your daughter. One day it could be your son, your grandkids, anybody. So we need not to always want to be pacified with laughing and joking and not paying attention to what's going on in our actual lives and really wake up to the fact that, hey, this is happening. Yeah, so thank you. What did you say? Also remember that if you can't pull the trigger, then you need to get it done. Right, that too. Right, yeah, that is true. Very good point. One thing about the last 4 years. Yeah, I mean, yeah, he's sprung crazy straight to the forefront. He has been able to allow people to express their hatred open and freely without it being like a secret conversation. It is definitely in your face. And I get it. A lot of people say, oh, well, it's better for them to be have racist hatred in my face than behind my back. Yeah, but in your face can get you killed just because they don't even like your existence or because you spoke up against something that they felt you should not have. And that's, again, where I have issues. Like, we can agree to disagree. That's perfectly fine. You can have your opinion and I can have my facts. And we can definitely, whatever, because you're not going to change your opinion due to my facts because you want to believe what you want to believe. But the actual evidence is there if you choose to read it. And that's why I don't, I don't understand people that, go so hard for a man that when he wasn't even thinking about running, when he was supporting the Clintons, Bill and Hillary and going to the Epstein mansions and partying with him with young girls, he thought Republicans were stupid. And that if he would run for president, he would run as a Republican because they don't read and research. All they do is worry about somebody taking something from them. He wasn't really talking about the most elitist of Republicans, I'm sure. I'm sure he was talking about the average person that felt like, the Democratic Party was not a party for them because it had a lot of Black and brown people on it. And that's not what they wanted to see, because that's not what the America that they've always been taught looks like. The America that they've been taught looks like what our framing fathers look like, So, it's a huge problem. Huge problem. Until we create and correct the history of this nation, okay, and stop making it out to be some old shining beacon on a hill for the world to see, that this shining beacon has killed millions upon millions of people, have enslaved people for hundreds and hundreds of years, and refuses to pay them. It refuses to give them anything, or to even say, yeah, we did that. Sorry about that. Yeah, we did that too. Sorry about that. Yeah, we did that too. Sorry about that. Yeah, we did that too. It's almost like, oh, well, sorry, and get over it. No. We can't do that, because you're allowed to just get over it. And we're not allowed to get over the Holocaust. We're not allowed to get over a lot of these other things that we always have to be reminded. But we have to get over slavery, because I didn't do it. I didn't, participate in you being enslaved. You didn't, but your ancestors did. And you did. You still benefited from it. So what's your gripe? You still benefited from it. So then still, what are we looking at? But anyway, I do have to go, guys. But I want to thank you all for sitting here and participating and chilling out with me. What'd you say? You said what? Yeah. You're saying, but whatever. I'm not gonna entertain that. But anyway, thank you all for participating. Thank you all for coming by. What do you think about the phases that they announced tonight? Do you think it's gonna be? Where were you at? I talked about that. Yeah, they're supposed to be giving the vaccine to healthcare providers first. We just talked about that earlier. You may have to do a rewind and check it out. But real quick, I mean, healthcare providers are going to have to take it whether they, agree with it or not, because they are in public. So they are the first ones to get it. So my hope is that it is actually effective. Although, the companies are trying to rush it out only to be the first one so they can make history. My hope and prayer is that if it does come out, that it's actually, that it's actually beneficial. What? I didn't even hear your question about a mod, but whatever it is, I will go back and read it later. I don't really. They refuse to pay taxes. Oh, really? Is that what they said? What is your question? So, so I gotta go. And actually, SQ has said it. Yeah, mods don't get paid. Like, it's not a. Well, yeah. Okay, you will be here for. I'm not. Anyway, like I said, thank you guys for coming through. I definitely appreciate your support. Definitely, please, anybody in Georgia, please make sure that you are registered. Check your registration. Georgia, please check your registration. Make sure you are still registered to vote and go out there and vote. Those Senate runoffs are very important to ensuring or helping this Biden-Harris ticket be successful in their year of cleaning the fuck up what this former president, soon to be, created. So that is the goal. You have until Monday, Georgia, to check. So please, please, please check. Don't leave it up to circumstance. Don't trust. Please don't trust Governor Kemp. Don't do it, because he did it to win his own election. He did it to win his own election. Well, they are doing another recount in Georgia, but they've already confirmed that Biden won. But they're paying for another recount, so they'll do it. So my thing is to anybody in Georgia, trust and believe. Governor Kemp erased a lot of people off the rolls so he could beat Stacey Abrams, and he would not mind doing it again. Right, that part. And he came out the winner yet again. So, and I think that's the reason why Bill Barr had to just come out and say that there was no evidence of voter fraud, because they can't fix it. They can't even make it right, because he has actually won. So, but the fight does not stop. So I just want people to know that these runoffs are highly important for the success of this administration that is due to begin on January 20th of 2021. Okay. Great. Yeah, nice. Anyway, like I said, thank you guys. Have a great night. Until next time, yeah. Peace out. Have a great night.